There are over 25 characters who have only been in one episode of The Rookie, and today we're going to talk about every single one of them and their stories. Starting with Armando de Leon from Season 4, Episode 1, Life and Death, the gangster who was responsible for the murder of Officer Jackson West. In this episode, while trying to get Lopez back from La Fiera, the LAPD finds camera footage of Jackson getting shot in the back while trying to escape. At first, nobody knew who this assailant was, as they made a quick run for it. But after getting some DNA from Jackson's body, they found out that it was De Leon. Lieutenant Gray tracks him down, and while he tries to flee, he eventually surrenders. But he knew that Jackson wouldn't approve of this, and instead he arrested him. He then got charged for conspiracy and murder. Let's go back a season and talk about Katie Barnes from Season 3, Episode 11, New Blood, the ex-military who gave policing a try before she was ready. Barnes joined the LAPD right after leaving the army and was assigned to Tim Bradford. From the beginning, it was clear that she was still stuck in military mode, as she would call suspects enemies and being hostile towards one of them off the rip. Bradford treated her differently and gave her a more hands-on and gentle approach. Lucy was unhappy with this until Tim explained himself and how he handles his rookies.
Why are you being so nice to her?
Officer Barnes won't wear perfume because she's still worried it'll give away her position. A part of her is still waging a war in Afghanistan. You are a kind and insightful person. You see the good in people.
Eventually, Barnes realizes that policing isn't for her at this point in her life, and she resigns on her first day of patrol. On to a more recent character, we have Harrison Novak from Season 7, Episode 4, Darkness Falling, a serial killer whose reign ended after a car accident gave him away. In the episode, there was a multiple car accident on the highway, and while trying to find any evidence of someone being under the influence, they find a woman in the back of one of the cars, and they note that the car is Harrison Novak's. They raided his house and found pictures of all of Novak's victims. He knew that he was in some deep water, so he called Wesley, his previous lawyer, but he didn't know that Wesley moved to being a district attorney, and so Lopez and Harper were able to listen in. After trying to go out with a bang by trying to kill a sorority, and failing, he was arrested and he confessed to where he buried all of his victims. However, while doing so, they find out about bodies of another serial killer who would end up being identified as Liam Glasser. Now we have Bill August from Season 4, Episode 20, Enervo, a corrupt CIA agent who was responsible for the entire operation. The uncovering of his operation was all because of a Russian CIA operative named Ilya Sakharov, who fled to the US after being arrested for treason. He was also responsible for the kidnapping of Kate Hill, who was able to unravel August's operation. Eventually, Simone and Nolan track him down, and they apprehend him. Moving on to Troy Hoffman from Season 5, Episode 12, Death Notice, the fake doctor who was out for the blood of Oscar Hutchinson. After hearing about how Oscar was donating a kidney to his daughter, Hoffman saw a chance to get revenge for the stabbing of his brother. However, he didn't know that the LAPD was keeping close guard of Oscar, so he had to come up with another plan. He captured the doctor's husband and son and told Dr. Bernard that Oscar had to die during surgery or her family would. However, he didn't play his alias well enough, as Selena caught onto it and identified him as Troy Hoffman. With the help of Nolan, they detain him. Hoffman remained smug though, saying that Oscar had to die or they would kill her family, and going there to save them would be too late. He was wrong about that though, because the LAPD did save them and Hoffman was arrested. Do any of you remember Beth Veston from Season 5, Episode 1, Double Down? She was the attorney of Rosalind Dyer, who was beaming from future prospects that she would get from representing her. But that was just a facade, as she actually was there to help Rosalind escape by pretending to be her and diverting the police, as Rosalind was wearing a blonde wig and got away in the opposite direction. While being interviewed, it's clear that she was too far gone, as she was cutting her arms on the table, and when they went over to check on her, they saw Rosalind's name in her arm. She tells them that people are going to die, and she was right, as we find out that Veston did this in exchange for Rosalind to kill her parents, and Rosalind does this. Veston is then arrested for her crimes afterwards. One of the wildest one-time character stories comes from Corey Harris from Season 3, Episode 7, True Crime. He was a former child actor who formed a religious group that starts with a C, calling himself Jedediah the Prophet. and he used young and impressionable students from his acting classes as his followers. While live streaming, someone breaks into his house, and while Corey tries to get away and hide while calling the police, the intruder does find him and kills him. What's crazy is the LAPD ended up finding pieces of Harris around the house as the killer spread them around. And the eeriest part of all this, the live stream was still on for all of his followers to watch. But let's talk about his ex-fiancée, Charlotte Luster, from the same episode. She was the co-star and childhood sweetheart of Corey Harris's character on Paul's Place, and they stayed in each other's lives for years after, dating and getting engaged in real life. About halfway through the episode though, she is suspected of the murder of Corey Harris, as they couldn't locate her after his death. However, it's later theorized that she was actually the one who was killed by Corey or his mother. Unfortunately, no evidence ever came up for this, and her death remains a mystery. Now we're headed to the present day, and we met a character recently that was long overdue. Ruth Harper, Nyla's mom from Season 7, Episode 17, Mutiny and the Bounty. We are finally introduced to her after she calls Nyla for help during a supposed burglary, but it actually was just her getting an eviction notice. Angela and Nyla dig around and find out that Ruth was a target of fraud, and they, along with Lopez's mom, work together to get the fraudster put behind bars. They catch the fraudster Priscilla in the act after Lopez's mom acts like another target. And at the end of the episode, we see Ruth going through a family album with Nyla, apologizing to her for being gullible, but Nyla assures her that it's just her seeing the best in people. Next, we're talking about Livy from Season 7, Episode 12, April Fools, the social media manager who sent the entire city into the purge. In the beginning of the episode, we find out about her because of the April Fool's jokes she was making on the LAPD's social media pages. These jokes were causing civilian confusion, and so Tim fired her and told her to leave. She decides to get back at them by posting that all crime is legal for 3 hours, and LA has its own purge. Property was destroyed, people were killed, and so much more. Eventually, after Livy calls the police for help, they save her, and then they arrest her for what she did. My favorite moment from her episode was this.
I really didn't think that anyone was going to take this seriously. I'm so sorry.
Let's jump to the next episode and talk about two people from the same episode, AJ Knox and Sean Larson from Season 7, Episode 13, 3 Billboards. AJ is a football star who used to play with Officer Penn in college, and Larson is AJ's friend and assistant. We meet AJ as he passes by the crime scene Miles is at, and they catch up. Then AJ offers Miles to come to his party that night, and he agrees. At the party, Sean Larson is stealing his jewelry, and we find out that AJ knows but doesn't care. But then something happened that would make him care. The next morning, they're all just hanging out and Sean offers smoothies to everyone. And while Penn declines, AJ and his bouncer accept. These smoothies were poisoned though, and we find out that Larson is an insider in the robbery of AJ's house. Penn saves AJ, and with the help of Lucy and Selena, they take down all the robbers and apprehend Sean Larson. At the end, Penn is offered $300,000 a year to be private security for AJ, and he respectfully declines. But Penn does score some season tickets from AJ for Tim, so that's nice. Let's take a trip back a few seasons before to talk about Claire Ivy from Season 4, Episode 2, 5 Minutes, the serial robber who has avoided getting arrested for years. While on patrol together, Lucy and Nolan meet her after pulling her over and finding out that she's a person of interest. This is because of many heists that they could never get her connected to. They let her on her way, but tell her that she's under supervision, so she should leave town. She tells them that she knows this song and dance and tells them she has a plan and they'll never figure it out. And then she leaves. Nolan tried to keep tabs on her and stop her, but all of these efforts failed and she got away. Her plan was to steal a bunch of jewelry from one of the trucks for the gala, and while she made her move, the LAPD managed to stop her. She tried to escape, but she was arrested and was hauled off to not be seen again. Now we're going to talk about Richard Dormer from Season 5, Episode 8, The Collar. The man behind the collars that would blow up after a slow 43 minutes. He broke into his sister's coworker's house and held her at gunpoint. Then he made her put on a collar and forced her to drive around while recording herself. Unfortunately, the LAPD couldn't save her in time, but they did find out about another one of Richard's victims, another company worker named Creighton Mitchell, who heard about the death and was terrified. Luckily, he got out of the car and removed the collar with shears, and that's when they found out about the timer. Lastly, they find the CEO with a collar on too, but Nolan and Selena go to save him. This is where Selena asks which wire to cut, and Richard says blue. However, she knew that he was lying and told Nolan to cut the red one. This works, and Richard's plan fails. He is then taken into custody. These next two are a blast from the past, starting with Sasaya Olivo from Season 1, Episode 9, Standoff, the girlfriend of Marcus Vance. We are introduced to her while they're trying to take down Marcus, as they search her apartment and try to find him. They don't find him there, and Sasaya reveals that she is his girlfriend, but she didn't find out about his criminal activity until she got pregnant. That's when the shootouts begin, and the stress from them causes her water to break, and she starts going into labor with the help from Lucy. The baby is born during the shootout, but Vance breaks in wanting to take the baby. Luckily, Nolan and a team come save them, and Vance is arrested. Sasaya is checked over, and she goes on with her life as normal with her brand new baby. The other early bird is Alex Montgomery from Season 1, Episode 8, Time of Death, Nolan's first kill. While on patrol, Nolan and Bishop find two robbers in a gas station, one being Alex. He makes a run for it, and Nolan follows him. Eventually, Alex runs into a random house and has a family put at gunpoint. He then runs upstairs, and before he can make an escape, Alex gets caught. Nolan warns him to drop the gun, but Alex whips around with the gun in his hand still pointed at Nolan. As soon as Nolan sees this, he has a gut reaction and shoots Alex, where he dies on the scene. This sends Nolan into a spiral, leading to the investigation that temporarily paused his career. Up next on our list, we got Tom Bradford from Season 4, Episode 9, Breakdown, the abusive father of Tim Bradford. Technically, he was mentioned in the episode before, where Jennifer, Lucy, and Tim talked about Tom and his past with Tim. It's revealed that Tom is in hospice slowly dying. While Jennifer forgave him, Tim did not. But in the next episode, we actually see him when Tim pays a visit to him due to an old case involving a family friend, Monica Okoa, whose husband was murdered. Tim confronts Tom with this, and Tom reveals that he murdered Frank and staged it, since Tom and Monica were having an affair, and he helped Monica cover up the loose ends. Tim arrested Monica and then came back. And instead of arresting him, he gives Tom a piece of his mind and then leaves him to die a slow and painful death. A few episodes later, we meet Jane Becker from Season 4, Episode 15, Hit List. She starts out working with another assassin to take out jurors who were on the Kellen Meyer case. We'll get back to him later though. But while on the job, she runs into Lieutenant Gray at a parking garage. She tries to distract him at first, but he sees her weapon. She then tries to kill him, and while she did seriously injure him, she couldn't get the job done, as he was able to retaliate and she was shot in the chest. And while paramedics do come for both of them and they were taken to the hospital, she ended up passing away. This next name might make some of you shiver. Cole Midas from Season 1, Episode 16, Greenlight, the son of a major gang leader who ended the life of Captain Anderson. He was introduced as the son of Leonard Midas, leader of the Southern Front, but also the baby daddy of a woman that Nolan arrested earlier and accidentally ripped her dress. He was infuriated with this and put a green light on him. After a while Nolan and Anderson were on a call, Cole ambushed them and tied them to chairs next to a swimming pool. After some back and forth, Cole pushes Anderson in, and while she escapes this, Cole shoots her while escaping himself, and this shot ends up killing her. He knew he was cooked after this, so he tried to flee the city, but his dad gave up his location and he was promptly arrested by Nolan, with guns pointed all around him. He was then later charged for kidnapping and the murder of Captain Zoe Anderson. Moving on from Cole, we get to Jerry McGrady from Season 4, Episode 6, Poetic Justice, an older cop who just wasn't ready to retire. Gray wanted McGrady to retire, and he appointed Tim to make it happen. So Tim asks McGrady if he wants to come along for a ride along. Initially, Tim just wanted to use this as a way to convince him to retire, but then a case came up and McGrady had a connection to it because of a friend who died long ago. They find the gold and stop a criminal who was trying to get it. After this case, McGrady decides that this is a great way to end his career, and he retired on his own after almost 44 years of service. Now we're heading to one of the documentary episodes with Lisa Miller from season 5, episode 18, Double Trouble, the best friend of Sava and the affair partner of Jake. In the beginning of the episode, when Jake is released from prison, Sava and Lisa are there to greet him. But later on, Jake is found dead in a dumpster. After a bit of digging, the LAPD find out that Jake and Lisa were having an affair, and Lisa wanted Jake all to himself. For some reason, I don't know what she saw in him, but that's besides the point. But Lisa couldn't handle that Jake was with Sava, and so she tried to run both of them off the road. She failed at this though, so she ends up killing Jake by just shooting him in the head instead. When Lisa was confronted by the LAPD, she shot Nolan, but because of his vest, he ended up being okay. Lisa was then arrested for the murder of Jake and the attempted murder of Nolan. Next up, we got Mrs. Mitchelson from season 5, episode 7, Crossfire, the woman who had a lot to hide from the LAPD. She was introduced when Nolan and Selena told her about the death of Alvin, her husband. They found out that Alvin was a con artist who caused a lot of deaths, and he would have ended up in prison very soon if it wasn't for the people going for the kill before that. After some more work, the LAPD found out that Alvin was actually poisoned, and that's what caused his death. After interviewing Mrs. Mitchelson, she came clean about doing it because him going to prison wasn't going to give her his life insurance. She then was apprehended and we haven't seen her again. Let's circle back to Kellen Myers from season 4, episode 15, Hit List, the corrupt court officer who sold the list of jurors. The LAPD figured out about Myers after a raid, and he was brought in and interrogated by Lopez. He initially denied that he was ever involved, and he was going to plead the fifth. But Lopez tells him that she knows about the list that he provided, and that they saw that he was paid off by Rubio after looking through his finances. After all of this, he did confess, but he also assured them that he had no idea that people were going to die. He thought it was just going to be used to scare people off. Myers was then arrested for accessory to the murders. Let's head to the finale of season 4 with Gabrielle Navarre. In season 4, episode 22, Day in the Hole, the officer from the border. After Nolan was transferred to the Frontera Police Department for a week, he meets Gabrielle, who really needed help since the chief was absent. We don't see much of her until near the end of the episode when everyone is battling the group of criminals that come in. Afterwards, they arrested everyone, and Gabrielle thanked Nolan and the others for the help. Then Nolan went back to LA and never went back. And now to talk about the most recent one-time character, Rena Davitt from season 7, episode 18, The Good, the Bad, and the Oscar, the woman that Penn went on a date with. Penn matches with her on a dating site and they meet at a restaurant. Things seem like they're going well until Penn notices the 7 on her necklace. He leaves the table to call Selena, where she finds out that she's associated with the Eastern Front, and he makes a run for it. The Eastern Front starts to go after him, and he pushes her out of the way while he makes his exit. While the gang keeps going after him, Rena doesn't, and we never get to see what happened to her after, but it's likely that she got arrested along with the rest of them. That was all of the one-time characters that have been on The Rookie. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.